Hi, and welcome to my sewing room. My name is Leah, and I'm up to week 15 and 16 on my UFO challenge, where the goal is to sew at least 15 minutes a day on my UFOs, also known as my unfinished objects. When I left you last, I was on my way out west to see my sons graduate from college, and I had grand plans to hand stitch down all the blocks on my Dresden UFO on the trek back home. So let's jump right in and show you how far I got. The first Wednesday away from home I spent flying, and I had my project in my check bag, so I didn't get to sew on the airplane. Once I landed, I spent the rest of the day with family, and I didn't sew at all. But Thursday morning, I got out my project, and I started hand stitching before everybody got up. I got a few Dresden sewn down, and then we were off to visit campus and take photos. After that, the next few days was a whirlwind of graduation, family, and fun. I didn't pull this out again until later on in the week on my way home, when we were in one of our hotels. Even then, I didn't get much done. I sewed almost halfway around an entire Dresden, and that's it. For my entire trip, I only got half a Dresden sewn down. My grand plans as sewing as a passenger didn't pan out like I thought, mainly because I did most of the driving. And that was by choice. I wanted to be able to pull over and stop whenever I wanted, even if it was just for a field of wildflowers in Illinois. But doing most of the driving didn't leave any time for sewing. And for the brief moments when I wasn't driving, I was either napping or staring at the scenery. There were so many different views to take in. This scenery was so different from the south. I had to soak it all in. Even the fields of grain, as far as you could see, were so interesting. They never got boring to me. My son and I also stayed busy along the way. We stopped at several landmarks and visited 4 caves along our way. By the time I got to the hotel each night, I was beat. We got to Memphis late Friday night, and I spent a couple of days with my daughter before I did the nonstop drive home from Memphis to South Carolina. But with all that traveling, we did manage to squeeze in 4 quilt shops. I would like to have visited more individual shops, but timing didn't always line up when we were driving by, or in time for me to catch my cave tours. But in those 4 shops, I was able to find some pastel purple polka dot fabric for my project. So let's talk about that progress. The first shop I made it to was Granny's Fabric House in Rexburg, Idaho. It's a cute little shop downtown. They had lots of fun fabric, but not any real pastel purple polka dot fabric. I did pick up this print from there. I figured if I didn't find any other fabric, these tiny splotches could count as dots. I also found this fun witch hat quilt kit that was calling my name, and when I got it to the counter, it was on sale. So that confirmed to me that it was meant to be, and it was meant to come home with me. The next quilt shop that fit in the schedule was Quilt Connections in Rapid City, South Dakota. They have a nice big shop, and they had a whole room full of boutiques. They even had my forest quilt pattern hanging up in their shop. They had turned it into a table runner, which I think turned out fabulous. They also had a pastel polka dot fabric. I picked up a yard of that and a purple sewing machine pin for my collection. My next quilt shop stop was Missouri Star in Hamilton, Missouri. I hadn't originally planned to go there since it was an hour out of the way, and it wouldn't line up with one of my cave tours. But I got ahead of schedule, and I did some rearranging, and I got to Hamilton at 10 a.m. That gave me plenty of time to look around and still get to my cave tour in Merrimack Caverns by the evening. It was fun to walk around all the different shops in Hamilton. My favorite was the boutique shop. It was fabulous, and all the walls were full of vibrant boutiques, including some of my favorite island boutique prints. I walked through all the shops in Hamilton on my mission to find pastel purple polka dot fabric, but I only found one print. It was in the baby shop. I also grabbed a Star Wars print to go with my collection, and I found this outdoor scene from the Licenses and Novelty shop. I don't have a plan for the outdoor scene fabric, but having just seen a lot of deer and antelope while driving across Wyoming and South Dakota, I was drawn to it, and I decided to bring it home. The last fabric shop was Hancock's of Paducah in Paducah, Kentucky. And thanks so much for the comment on my last video about stopping off in Metropolis to see the giant Superman statue. It was a fun visit right before heading into Paducah. Hancock's was a win for pastel purple polka dot fabric. They had a lot of prints there, and I settled on 5 that I brought home. I also snatched up some island boutique fabrics that were on sale and added those to my stash. I picked mostly yellows to help build up that colorway in my stash. I also found a fun pink flower print and a nice green print, and I threw those into my shopping cart as well. I got home late Monday night with all my fabric treasures, and I headed to work Tuesday morning. When I got home from work on Tuesday, I just vegged out on the couch. I needed a vacation from my vacation. So there was no sewing on Tuesday either. My trip across America wore me out, but it was a blast. Today I'm getting back on track and getting back into my regular patterns. While it's fun to see different parts of the world, it's always fun to come back home. And while I didn't get much sewing done, hardly any in the last 2 weeks, I did get some purple fabrics, and I'm going to call that progress on this UFO. The goal for this coming week is to cut up that purple fabric and start sewing my sashing rows. I'm also going to stitch down some of the Dresden blocks. I think I'll be going back to machine stitching for these. Slowly but surely this quilt will get done. Thanks for following along on my UFO journey and catching up with me on my trek across America. And thanks so much for commenting on my past videos. You all had some really good ideas, and I wish I had time to visit all those shops. Until next time, happy sewing.